Hey everyone, Lone Wolf Jai here, and welcome to another edition of Mando Monday. Now I'm using a different picture because I'm actually using my recording software on this. So let's get started with season 2, episode 4, The Siege. Now I start off, Mando's trying to do some mid-flight repairs, and he's trying to get little Baby Yoda to help out. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen, so he decides to um, go back to the planet he was on before. So when he went back, before he got there, um, Cara Dune, who is now the new marshal, has is basically cleaning out um, the old where the old location where the Mandalorians were before. So um, they were taken over by a bunch of walrusmen. Don't know their actual name, but I call them walrusmen. Anyway, back on the story. She also saves a little creature from being eaten. She takes, I guess she's planning on taking the Beskar armor back to, where it belongs. And, well, Mando ends up landing there with Greef Karga and Cara Dune right there. So, Greef tells, his men to get on, repairs, the repairs of the Razor Crest. And he starts doing a little bit of baby talk to Baby Yoda. And thing is, one of the repair people gives a look that I'm like, I don't like that look. So, yeah, more on that later. Well, they end up going into the old cantina. No longer a cantina; it's actually a school now. And they leave Baby Yoda there because where they're about to go, it's not good for children. So Mando ends up going in there and going into where Greef Karga runs his business. See, they run a little port town, a little small little village, and it's a safe zone. And Kara's the marshal, of course. Greef Karga's the head of it, and he's got the guy from the first episode that Mando did a bounty on, working like I guess as like a receptionist. Um, Apparently he's working off a debt. Anyway, back on the story, they end up going to they want to go to an old Imperial base where there's a bunch of weapons. They want to get them out of there so they can make um, the planet free. And he's got and Griff Karga wants to make it like a trade hub for that sector, which sounds like a good idea. Excuse me. But when they end up going there, and Grief makes a bunch of little tells tells the receptionist because he's working off a debt that he'll take such time off the debt, such time off the debt if he does this. Basically saying, hey, you know what, do it or else, which is funny. Okay, um, the they end up going to this base, only to find out that it's not just a base. It is actually a place where um, they're making how should I say this, copies of Baby Yoda. So, well, they're making these. They're making it's a lab. Okay, they're making what I apparently what from I remember are dark troopers. Basically using Baby Yoda's DNA to the midichlorians in his blood to make force sensitive soldiers. Um, so they end up blowing the place because that's what they were going to do in the first place. They're leaving. Mando says he's got to get the kid, and they end up leaving. He goes first because they tell him to jet out of here. It'll be quicker. Well, they end up going and they end up getting a little They end up getting a little trapped by the stormtroopers. Well, Kara sees this big transport that originally the I can't remember his name, but the guy who was the bounty, the blue guy, said that at first he wanted to sell it on a black market when they got there. So they they end up going they end up using they end up taking that. They go down, they go all the way down, they go through this canyon and are followed by a bunch of speeder bikes. The speeder bikes from from Return of the Jedi on Endor, and the some don't make it down. Others are like they're all taken off by Greef and Cara, who uses a gun that's on this transport. Well, then they get into then they start launching before the base blows up. They launch off 4 TIE fighters. Sorry to take a drink of something here. When they when they when they launch TIE fighters, Greef Karga is like shooting off like different on the sides of the canyon, which to me I'm thinking that's smart. But then he gets one in target and takes it out. Well, as he took it out, the wing took out the cannon that he was using. So they're trying to make it through. They're trying to make a long like trying to make it turn down the last stretch to where they need to get to, and the other 3 are like hot on their tail. They're about ready. Well, they've passed them. They pass them over. They're about ready to turn when one of them gets blown away. It's the Razor Crest. He takes out the other 2, and it's like at that point you hear it's like the best time to hear what I'd call the Mando theme. I'm calling it that because it is just it's a really good piece of music. Love it. Whoever did it is a great person to do this kind of thing. So when he's getting ready to take off, he's taking off because he wants to gather because he doesn't want uh, the Moff the Moff to find out, Moff Gideon, and so Karga goes, okay, well, take care. Because at first he said, name your price. He goes, the repairs will do fine. He says, well, at least let me buy you a drink. It's like I get out of here so Moff Gideon doesn't get wise. So they get out of there. As they do, we then see a well, I think it's an ISD. It doesn't look big enough to be an ISD, so it's probably like one of those cruisers or freighters. But it's an Imperial ship. Well, one officer is on there. She gets a message, and it's one of the repair people. They say they put the recording device on the ship, and everything's a go basically. So she goes and tells Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon goes, "Okay, fine. We'll 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 catch them. We'll go and catch them." And he's looking at, I guess, are some finished Dark Troopers or whatever. Either way, that was the end of the episode. Personally, I loved it. This was a great episode. A lot of action, a lot of a good story. Oh, one more thing. A TIE fighter pilot goes to wrap things up, and he's taking a report, and uh, Karga's all like, yeah, whatever, and he's leaving, and he sees Cara. He's all like, we could use you, and she's like, and then he says, I hear you're from Alderaan, and he goes, who did you lose? He goes, I fought at Alderaan. Who did you lose? And she says, I lost everyone. So basically, that's basically her saying, look, I've seen enough. I'm done. Besides, she's the marshal of that place. So, Yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode of Mando Monday. Join me next week for the next one. Until then, as well as saying thank you very much. And as always, with Mando Monday, this is the way.